Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share if you find the content today somewhat useful. Today's content is kind of abstract. I taught guitar lessons off and on over the years. I've been a history teacher, and usually my summers I would teach guitar, and sometimes after schools I would teach guitar and be the head of the guitar club at school and those kind of things. And most guitar students are usually coming to a more experienced player to ask about technique. How do I do this? How do I play this particular scale? How do I do this particular fingering? How do I, get this particular pick sound? Or there's different things like that. But I had a student come to me one time. He signed up for lessons, and I knew the fellow, and I knew he was a very good guitarist, equally as good as me. I don't know why he wanted to take guitar lessons from me unless it was just something that I specialized in, like 12 string or something along that line. But he came in, and he kind of just let me know what his chief frustration was with his playing. He had studied classical guitar, he read music, he understood music theory, deeply, as anybody who's really studied music can. And he presented a real unique challenge to me, because he was like, how do I create with all this? I have all this knowledge, I can play songs, I can figure out stuff by ear off the radio, but I can't create any new stuff. He wanted to be able to make new music, write songs, and I was like, wow, that's kind of an interesting thing. What an interesting problem to have. To me, I took up the guitar with the idea of wanting to create my own music, and very, very early on I learned music theory and arranging and composing and those kind of things in school, and those things were very useful to me. But this fellow had done all those same things that I had done, but he just was not able to dig down and find that inner voice, that I call it the voice inside your head, that really helps you find something creative to do. And I'm constantly involved in creative things, not just music. I write, I do, I've done some artwork and stuff in the past. I work on novels and short stories and those kind of things. I'm always doing something creative. Even gardening is kind of a creative outlet. So for somebody asks you, well, how do I create? It's like, wow, that's really an interesting thing. Well, there's kind of an approach I take, and it's not an academic approach. Jimi Hendrix talked about how he would create things, and he said that basically he would play a riff and then repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it over and over and over and over again until your brain just gets fatigued with it. And then when your brain gets tired of it and it reaches the point of boredom, the brain will introduce something new into the equation. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty interesting thing. Now, in addition, if you've watched any of my videos on the channel, I'd spent a lot of time with 12-string and acoustic guitars, and I've played a lot of stuff along that line. But one of my favorite things to do is looping. And technically what I'm doing is not looping. I play with long digital delays. Like a loop, you record a passage of music and it just plays it back to you. And you're like just kind of, you're just making a little snippet of a song, or maybe a chorus, and you're playing over and soloing over it. The idea with this is that the delays, I have a delay that will go up to about 22, 23 seconds, and it'll repeat, but it eventually will fade out. And so I have to replace what's fading out with new material. And of course, the repetition works kind of like a mantra. Many years ago, I explored like transcendental meditation, and in that process, you're given a mantra. A mantra is like a word or a phrase that you repeat over and over in your relaxed state, and you just repeat this, and it becomes a focal point for your mind. And if you're familiar with any kind of meditation, there comes a point where, the mind eventually starts to get bored of doing the same activity. And then when that happens, stuff happens in your brain. And it's kind of like what Jimi Hendrix talked about, is that new things are introduced. New things come to mind, new inspiration, new insights. It's a kind of a neat process. And so I've kind of looked at this as the echo as being a mantra. You get something that repeats, and then what will come out of that. And what you'll create a pattern that goes over and over and over, and then the mind will introduce something new that it wants to hear in order to change that up to break the boredom. So I'm going to just kind of show you my process here, and if you're a creative person, this is something that you may want to try to do sometime. Now, let me just demonstrate just a little bit. Let me go in here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a delay. Let's go something that's about maybe 4 seconds, pretty short. I have about a half-second echo on my rack here behind me. It's back here behind me. And let's go. I'm just going to pick a key. Let's go like, well, hey, what the heck, E string. Let's just go with the key of E minor. That's a key guitarists play in a lot. So I'll just start off with an E minor chord. I'm just going to arpeggiate with my fingers. Oops, volume pedal on. So now the delay has to pick that up. And that'll keep going now, not indefinitely, but for a few minutes. So as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, well, okay, I've got a 3-note pattern there, E, B, E. I know my scale, my E minor scale. I know that E minor is the relative of the G major scale, F sharp, only sharp in it. So I can just go ahead and pick. Let's just start with an E minor scale. I'm going to use a volume pedal, just kind of fade in some notes. There's an F sharp. There, I've just gone 3 notes, F sharp, G, and then A. They're coming to the background there. Now, if you listen to this long enough, something else is going to come to mind that you might want to hear. And two more notes in. So I've got something on the high side. Now it's starting to fade out. Let me get something on the low side again. So there's the loop going. I'm going to step on a pedal, and that's going to lock that in. It'll fade out eventually, but now I can like solo over this. So now let's think of, okay, E minor scale. What can I play here? So there's a short little phrase. So I can solo over this till the loop starts to fade out. But let's see what else I can do with this now. I'm going to engage the echo again. So now it'll record what I play. Let's change the tonality. The root there was on E. Let's change it to a C. So it plays those out of the C scale, but I'm keeping the F sharp in there because I know that my last loop was in the key of G. So now I'm starting on the 4th degree of the scale. Okay, so that's going to be the Lydian mode. So now my brain's going to shift. Okay, let's apply Lydian mode to this and see what I come up with. kick in the octave divider. Back out, so now I've got this low note in there. Now I'm thinking, oh, maybe a little distortion. There we go. Kind of centering things on some of the tones that really define that Lydian. In this case, that F sharp and a B, which are tritones. So I'm applying my music theory into this. But the idea behind this is that when you hear something that's missing, okay, you're going to fill that in. Okay, I need some more low range. I need some more high range. I've got thin, clean sounds. Let's add some distortion. As you practice around with things like this, this will get you in the state of mind where your brain starts to look for new things to do. Let me go ahead and kill this loop here. I'll go with a little bit longer one now. Let's see here. Let me try something that's going to be kind of linear. And this is not necessarily going to be in any kind of time. Let's go key of, let's try A. Solo over this. My pattern's still going. If I want to change this to a different key, okay, let's try back in here. We got a little bit of compression in. Let's add a little bit of octave. Let's go to the relative minor. Let's go to F sharp minor. Adding one note in, I've changed the whole character now of what the background is. Let's have a little fun and add some strings into this. This is off my Mel 9 pedal. Let me get a little bit of extra. So now I've got multiple layers of echo going. Fade out, but now I have this lush orchestral sounding kind of thing. So we're going to let me fade this out here. So you see this kind of a process here of using a repetition, exploring what you know for scales, modes, whatever's going to sound good across it, and let the boredom in your with that pattern begin to lead you to other things. Other things will pop out of your imagination. It's not a rational process. Although you do make decisions and stuff about what comes to how you're going to approach certain things, what sounds to use, what modes to use, what scale. The actual things you want to hear to break the boredom will come from your subconscious, and it's a process. It's like a meditation. I do this looping thing quite a bit, and to me, it's some of the most creative music I come up with because it's so spontaneous. Keep an eye out. I'll announce it here on the channel real shortly, but I've got a new EP coming out that's called Trios, and it's where basically they're improvised trios of this type of music composed along this line, and there's 3 pieces on there. One of them is 26 minutes long, and it gets deep into the improvisation. One of them is very atonal, or begins very atonal, kind of in Phrygian mode. And then another one actually uses a banjotar with some looped guitar stuff. So it's going to be a pretty cool album, the Trios album. It'll be out here real shortly. Thanks for listening. If you stuck around this long to see this, thank you very much. If you bail on the channel, and it doesn't matter what I say at this point because you're gone. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. And check back in the future for more content. And see you later. Bye.